r/Nosleep. Posted by u/SmilingFox27. My grandmother drowned in the ocean, but she came back to visit us in our pool. When I was 10, my mom and dad inherited a house from my great-grandparents complete with a pool. Much like it is now, the pool had come with the bottom of the concrete broken and the liner tore. My parents ended up hiring a sewage company to clean out the black goo that kept emerging from the bottom, so that it could be repaved and a liner replaced. After a short time the pool looked great, and my older sister Kate and I could not wait to jump in every day. However, my mom started having second thoughts. She started arguments that she wanted to get rid of the pool and have it filled in with dirt. I never understood why, until later. Every time I asked my mom why she didn't like the pool, she would just say it was too much work to upkeep. She listed excuses such as she did not like vacuuming, skimming the bugs, buying and maintaining chemicals, worrying about us drowning, etc. For these reasons, my dad started doing all of the upkeep and we helped him skim bugs and vacuum. My mom still complained though. She said she hated the pool and it was dangerous. We were always cautious and safe around the pool. My dad made sure to enforce that nobody was to enter alone and bought padlocks for the gate. Yet, my mom still hated it. This time she was complaining about the drain and warning us all not to dive down to the drain because we could get a finger stuck. Kate, just thinking my mom was being paranoid, thought it would be a fun game to see who could dive down and touch the drain without being caught by my dad since my mom had long stopped going anywhere near the pool. "Okay, here's the plan," she said. "You tell Dad to watch you do a flip underwater on the shallow end, and I will go touch the drain." I proceeded in my cutest little girl voice possible, "Daddy. Daddy. Watch me." Kate and I dove under the water at the same time. I spun a couple flips and opened my eyes to see her touch the drain and moon me before coming up for air. As I came up my dad said, "Wow. Great job, honey." And my sister laughed out loud as I made a face of disgust at her. I told her to do the same while I tried. She proceeded. We dove under again at the same time and I quickly made my way to the bottom. I glanced over, and saw she was not done with her trick while I was at the drain. Knowing she would not believe me and make fun of me for being chicken, I decided to wait at the drain until she finished. It was taking a while for her to finish, so I let out my air that felt like it was going to burst inside of my lungs. As I looked down, I saw something thin and scaly poking up through the drain. Me, being a child, thought it might be a fish that swam up from the ocean because you know what they say about drains, and being a naive kid, I believed it. I decided to touch it as Kate was finally watching. I reached down and touched it. It felt spiky to my surprise, almost like a cat's tongue. But then I noticed there were more of these pencil-length things coming up through the drain and they grabbed onto me tightly while digging their spines into my hand. Trying to scream, I sucked in a massive amount of water. Kate screamed at my dad who jumped in to pull me to the surface. "I told you not to touch the drain. Your mother said you would get your fingers stuck. No more swimming today for either of you." Kate laughed at me for what had happened as I sobbed and she played innocent the entire time. At that moment, I tried to tell them I saw something and that is why I went down, but it grabbed me. But neither of them were buying it. "I can't believe you actually got your fingers stuck." Kate obnoxiously snorted loudly as her spit hit my face. I tried to tell her what had happened, while wiping my face slightly agitated, scared and confused, but she would not listen and told me I was being a baby. I was told not to tell my mom if I ever wanted to swim again, so I felt alone in it all. That night, I had a dream about it, except this time it broke the drain cover and attached to the long, spiny, pencil fish was a stick as wide as a broom handle. It was then I noticed it was an arm with long, finger-like sticks protruding from it. I screamed, but nothing came out. The arm came out further and with a stiff elbow emerging, it pulled up a creature that resembled a highly anorexic corpse-type figure, except the face was that of a deranged anglerfish, with sharp teeth curved into a sinister smile. It pulled me closer and said inside my head in a gurgling high-pitched voice, "Don't worry baby doll, I tease me grandma." I screamed and woke in a sweat. I noticed my hand was sore where the creature grabbed my hand in real life. I looked down and rubbed it to find a little black spine similar to a cactus spine. I gasped and decided to break my promise to my dad. I peeked into the bedroom while my mom and dad were asleep. I gently shook my mom to wake her and her bloodshot eyes bolted open widely as she gasped and jumped back, almost waking my dad. "Mommy, I need to tell you something." She followed me out into the hallway looking as if she had not slept in weeks. I started to feel bad about waking her up and had second thoughts about telling her as overwhelming guilt flooded me. "What is it, sweetie?" she said in her most gentle, yet also tired and anxious voice. I felt a wave of heat come over my whole body, shooting up through my head. I had a bad dream. I felt somewhat relieved after saying that, but knew it was almost a lie. I knew I had to tell her more and my stomach turned. End it. Before I could say anything else, she hugged my tiny body tight and told me she would sleep in my bed with me tonight. This made me feel a lot better and safe, so I decided that I would not tell after that. I asked her if it was true that drains connected to the ocean. She told me it was just something silly I had heard from a cartoon. I also felt curious now about how my grandma died since the dream and the fact that she did not have a funeral. My mom told me sweetie grandma was very sick for a long time. She was so sick that she did not want anyone to see her like that, so she would not let us visit. Although, she must not have been too bad off since she still was able to get into the spa my grandpa had custom made for her. Anyways, she decided that she wanted to see the ocean one last time, so grandpa took her down. She was swimming with his help until the tide took her and he was unable to pull her back. She drowned and they never found her. Although, something tells me she wanted it to be that way since she hated dying a fragile old lady. She always told me she wanted to go in action, so I have always had that sense of peace about her death. I left it at that for the night without much more thought. The next day I avoided the pool, and decided to stay inside with my mom. We were baking cookies when she grabbed my hand and started screaming, "Where did you get this?" I looked down confused at first until I noticed the place on my hand where the spine was, had started to turn black. My mom started to frantically wash my hand under a stream of rubbing alcohol. It was then I realized she too had an injury on her hand wrapped in a bandage with black goo seeping through it. Before I could answer she said, "You touched it after I told you to stay away." I was so scared and confused I started to cry. She ran out to the pool area and stood still in shock to find nobody there. Suddenly, she jumped into the pool fully clothed and swam down to the bottom. I stood in horror as I watched and noticed that the bottom of the pool was filled with black ink and the drain had a massive hole torn into it just like in my dream. I screamed for mom to come back, but she did not hear me. Then, I saw her. Not my mom, but the creature from my dream that had hurt me and my mom and took my dad and sister. It had wrinkled, sagging breasts covered in fish-like scales that had appeared to be half-rotten, with the head of an anglerfish, jagged teeth sticking out almost 2 feet long, curved upward. But the scariest part was, it appeared to be human, with fish parts. Almost like some sick, mad scientist had made an old woman-fish hybrid. I screamed and cried, but the moment the ink cleared enough for my mom to see it, the bottom half of the creature appeared through the murk. The bottom half was massive, black tentacles. The creature wrapped them around my mom and then embraced her in its long, bony, human-like arms and quickly pulled her to the surface. I felt frozen and helpless as I watched the creature hold my mother in its embrace like a newborn. My mom cried and told me she loved me and to run away and never come near the water again. But then, the creature made a high-pitched gurgling noise and held out its arm over my mom. I begged it not to hurt her, that I would let it go and not tell anyone. Just then, a spike emerged from its wrist and started to stab my mom's throat. "Stop!" I screamed and cried. It snapped its neck over to me in a way that would typically break a human neck and curved its sword-like teeth into a sinister smile. Then it said something that still haunts me to this day. "Come join your family. We will be together again. Your grandfather made it so we will never die. Come, swim with us forever, my precious doll baby." I ran and screamed as far and fast as I could to get away from the water. I felt a gut-wrenching sense of guilt for listening to my mother and leaving her behind. That was the last time I saw her, or any of my family. Now I am in a foster home. The police reported my whole family had drowned in a freak accident where illegal drainage connected to the ocean from the pool and something that appeared to be an octopus had attacked. It seemed strange, but nobody questioned it. I have been too afraid to tell anyone because not even my own family believed me, and now they are gone. The spot on my arm has since healed, but every time I take a shower I start to develop scales which disappear after I dry myself. This is why I will never go to the water. I do not want to end up like grandma and hurt others. I am even afraid to drink water and I have suffered kidney problems as a result. I do not care though, I would rather die than become that horrible monster my grandfather created that took my family from me.